and we are live. So, welcome everyone to another episode of the Crypto Hour. Today, Friday, the 3rd of October, and as you might have guessed by looking at prices, it's October is defined as Uptober in crypto land. Okay, so I've told you a couple of weeks ago that we were going into this phase and to expect price pretty much by now to start hovering around the all-time high, and we are pretty much there. So let's go and have a look at that first. So let's go to, let me change the Bitcoin. Okay, I'll make this a little bit bigger for you guys. First of all, let's start with, this is the weekly chart, okay? Okay, so this is the weekly chart. So if we close above this point today, so this is 109,400. At the moment we are at 119,400. We are 119,000, it's about 700 right now. So if we close, let's say where we are now or above, this is going to be the highest weekly close in Bitcoin history. Okay, now the all-time high was at 120, almost 125, 124 and a half. But it's kind of the what is nice to see is the consensus. So especially for a weekly candle, okay, it's significant if we close a higher level than we've ever been before. It means there is confidence and people are happy keeping the positions open over the weekend when there is some risk. There's a couple of days, especially for people that invest through. Oh, by the way, guys, am I sharing? Oh yeah, I'm sure. So especially for people that invest through ETFs, there is some risk in holding a position open Saturday and Sunday where they can't get out of their investment. Okay, so closing at above this level will be significant, and we might hit a new high today, as we'll see from because there is an important economic announcement to come. But even if we don't, closing above this level will open the way to a new high in the coming days. So going in connect from the weekly to the daily, there is no supply here. Okay, so we've come, the last bastion was down here at 118 and a half. The last way there could have been a reaction, but there's nothing. We just sailed right through it. And even going to small time frames like the 1 hours, there is really nothing here until we get to 123 at best. Okay, so we really are. We already touched this area that at the moment is providing a little bit of a reaction, but not much. So I expect the next move to be beyond 125 and we'll stop somewhere in the 130s. Depends on how much stops are going to be triggered when price goes above this level. Now, going to look at the economic calendar. So today, I just refresh this. I don't know that was today. So today it's kind of like a muted day in some points because it's a bank holiday in China, in kind of Germany as well, which are two big markets. But we are expecting the non-farm employment change, the non-farm payrolls, as you might know it by, which is a big job-related announcement in the month, which generally moves the market and fairly quickly as well. And today we also had the unemployment rate that's going to be announced, which normally is announced on a Thursday. Okay, so
Do you think that that's actually going to happen today with all the silly bugger games that are going on in the U.S.?
I don't know. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as
I
good
can
as
look
mine.
at my crystal ball, but it's very foggy.
Yeah, no, I know. So it is scheduled now. Whether it's going to happen or not, because there's what Kim is referring to, is just like basically the government has ground to a halt, at the moment, because they don't have money, basically. So it needs to have more, the budgets needs to be approved, and a new chunk of cash needs to be approved before they start normal activity again. So many government departments have basically pretty much like stopped working. Okay, but in any case, if this announcement comes, big if, it should normally happen around 1:30 p.m. London time, so it'll be 8:30 a.m. in New York, which is like 1 hour before the markets open. And so just the volatility from that announcement could push the price to a new all-time high. But even if it doesn't really matter. So as the kind of like what Kim was referring to, like the stop, kind of like the grounding to a halt of the US government hasn't really affected Bitcoin at all. Okay. So as you can see, so this is where it was the daily chart. So as you can see, we really actually plowed through it quite easily. This is a 1 hour chart, and since Sunday, we're going up from 109 to 121. No effect whatsoever on Bitcoin. So the expectation for me, as I said, at the moment, it's just a matter of time until we get a new high. There's nothing in the way of it anymore. If I'm looking at where we might go and fish for some extra input, let's say, to then push higher again. If I've got to have a guess, I will say we're probably down here. Okay, so I was thinking if kind of could be tempted to maybe put a little flatter. Maybe want to buy something to an expectation then to have a new high. It's maybe kind of like $1,000 down from where we are right now. Okay, kind of like 118, around 118 and a half. We might end up tapping this and then pushing higher. So if we have the job announcements, look, can be sometimes on the volatility of the announcement can be a 1% plus move, pretty much in a matter of minutes. 1% is 1,200. It could potentially maybe push us down to maybe here. But I don't think we'll see a big, unless there is like some economic tsunami. I don't think we actually going to fish any lower at this point before we hit a new high. Might be wrong. We'll see. Time will prove me right or wrong. But in terms of the big question is, we were here last week, okay, Friday at 109. What caused price on Sunday evening to start moving from 109 and getting by Thursday to 121, which is a big move. It's 10%. Is a 10% move in the price of Bitcoin. Now, what caused it to happen? And it's you can try and find out reasons for it. Go and sit through the news. Oh, that's the reason why. The real reason is that there is no reason. Okay, so there are simply like some market forces that push things in one direction or another, and this is how we kind of have a look for these things on chain. One reason is what we were talking about, which is, as stupid as it might sound, a lot of people expect to make money in October. So they want to go in at the first possible opportunity in October. So this when the markets reopen on the week of, Sunday or Monday will have been the 29th of September. So just 2 days of September and then we're into October. So that will be the first point of when the markets reopen, first in Australia and New Zealand, and then in the, and then moving on to Asia and Europe and the US, it's Sunday night. Okay, so that's the first move. But also, when we start looking on chain, we start seeing some interesting news, interesting thing. Okay, first of all, this is I don't know if you can see it properly. Let me make it bigger. So this chart, very simple. The black line is the price of Bitcoin. Okay, you're familiar with that. The blue line is the amount of Bitcoin held on exchanges. Okay, so if you are anybody, if you are BlackRock or you are like one of us that wants to buy Bitcoin, where do you go and buy it? You go and buy on Binance, you go and buy on Kraken, you go and buy on Coinbase. Okay, so all these exchanges have got some Bitcoin in reserve to be able to sell to buyers. Okay, and if you look at what's happened now since I can get this bloody Zoom controls out of the way. So what's happened here from 2022, we had 3.5 million Bitcoin in reserves, and then we have, you see the point of like the low in exchange reserves between 2022 and 2024. Okay, which pretty much that amount was stable, so the market was dominated by basically short-term traders. Okay, and then here, then in September of last year, 2024, we start seeing the numbers declining quite sharply. But we now, at the moment, we go only about 2.5 to 1 million less than we had 3 years ago. And how many Bitcoin were bought by the ETFs? Can anybody tell me? It's roughly about 1 million. 1 million Bitcoin, about 5% of the supply. But you can see, so what does that mean? Is that each Bitcoin that is taken out of circulation would make as an asset, will make it scarcer. And so obviously, if the demand keeps going up and the supply getting scarcer and scarcer and scarcer, the price goes up. It's a simple economic equation. How do I make this smaller? So this is the first thing that I want to show you. The other thing is that what's happening to, and this is like multicolored chart, so it's fun. Can I make it any bigger? Probably not. Let's see. Yes, I can. Okay, so this shows you the hodler, Bitcoin hodler time waves. Okay, so as you can see, each color represents how long that chunk of Bitcoin has been held without moving. So we have the top, we have the coins that have been there for 10 years or more. Then we get the next one is 7 to 10 years, 5 to 7 years, 3 to 5, 2 to 3, 18 months to 2 years, 12 to 18 months, 6 to 12 months. Okay, and this one is then we go into the short term, 3 to 6, 1 to 3 months, 1 week to 1 month, 1 day to 1 week, and this is the last one is like 24 hours. Okay, so if you look at, don't look at the old chart, but just look at here at the bottom, at the right-hand side. Okay, if you start from the bottom, can you see what's happening to these classes of hodlers? You can see that the lower classes are going down, but from this class, which is okay, so it's like 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, from 3 months and above, you can see that the numbers are going up. So these are hodlers that are buying Bitcoin. So all the classes in here from the 1, 2, 3, from the 4th down. Okay, so from the 2 to 3 years to the 1 month and above, apart from one, they're all going up. It means that people are stacking the long-term holders of Bitcoin are actually accumulating more Bitcoin right now. Okay, so the only class that is selling is this one, because obviously the top parts will always tend to go down, the top two or three, because eventually somebody that sell Bitcoin for a long time will sell, and so that Bitcoin ceases to be part of that part and goes into one of the short-term lengths. Okay, but that is telling, because if you're telling you like people that held Bitcoin for a year, for 2 years, for 6 months are still becoming more larger in numbers, it tells you what's happening with the average sentiment towards Bitcoin. Okay, so people are accumulating it. The ones that are being pushed out of the markets are the ones that are trying to speculate on it, you know, which are not. So as a result, it means that they're not dominating the price action at the moment, but are kind of the people that are holding it for longer. And obviously, a big chunk of this is now the ETFs that they are generally speaking are kind of a longer term investments than short term investment. But it's really telling you to understand, okay, big corners are still increasing their hold instead of selling it. So if all these values started going down, I would start worrying, because I think these are the actually hard line of Bitcoin holders, and they are selling. There might be time to take your profits and then wait a little bit. But if they're accumulating, it means they're expecting for much bigger numbers to come. And Bitcoin is very sensitive to liquidity. So as the interest rates are starting to go down, and still for the next 3 months at the moment, the liquidity is going to be increasing very much, because there is a fiscal stimulus, but also the US banks need to rebuild the balance sheets. So at the moment, they're not lending all the liquidity that they can get from the Federal Reserve, but they're using it to rebuild the balance sheet. By the time we get to the end of the year, that process will be completed, and then we're going to see the mother of all cash hit the markets. Okay, so that will cause. We can already see that from the reaction in the price of gold. Okay, the price of gold going up, it means that there are inflationary pressures in the economy. So what was going to happen from December, January, and so on especially in the first 2 quarters in the US, all the risk assets are going to go up. So as long as you are investing in something, you will feel like a genius. Okay, and so those are the good times. It doesn't mean that they're going to last forever, because this move, it's a monetary move rather than an economic move. Okay, so basically is when there is one thing that people want to buy, and tomorrow there is more money to buy that thing than there is today, it means that tomorrow there's going to be more competition to buy the same thing, and obviously the seller of that thing will want more money for it. Okay, so that's a normal way the prices go. So that's the way that things go. Okay, so say when there is a lot more cash that will hit the economy, the American economy, then all assets that are denominated in dollars will tend to go up. But the same thing cannot be said by the results in the company results, which are starting to see some cracks. So eventually, when the money stops flowing, then the proverbial will hit the fan, and we're going to have a sizable correction. But for the moment, it's not the time. It's more likely that we see some correction between now and the end of the year, with then a big push between January and the kind of spring, beginning of the summer. But eventually, the tide will turn, and we can carry on growing at 30% a year. The economy doesn't support those numbers. Okay, so moving on, couple of big news. So this is one of the first effects of the government shutdown this week, is that we were expecting a response for the Litecoin ETF, which we haven't got because the SEC actually missed the deadline. But what's happening the last week? As I said, I already told you last week, the SEC has asked all the companies that filed for ETFs to remove their filings because they don't need to now, with the new rules, they won't need to be approved individually. They can be approved with generic rules. So expect, once all this shutdown has played itself out, expect over the next few weeks, I would say less than a month, to see Litecoin, Solana, XRP, Cardano, Dogecoin, whether you like it or not. There's going to be ETFs in these and a number of like HBAR. I think there's a few more ETFs that are going to be hitting the markets. Okay. Yes, they're not going to be as popular as the Bitcoin or the Ethereum ETF to begin with, but just the fact that they exist, it means that they become an investable product for institutions that cannot at the moment, even if they wanted to, cannot invest in this product. So there's going to be buying pressure basically in all these coins. So we will see that reflected not just in the price of these coins, but the relationship of these coins to Bitcoin and Ethereum, which could turn around, as seen, for example, from the Bitcoin dominance chart, has already been turning for a little while. Let me just bring it down to the crypto charts. Okay, well, that's the Bitcoin dominance. So how much of the total market cap in crypto is represented by Bitcoin? Total market cap is $4 trillion at the moment. Bitcoin at the moment represents almost 60% of it. Okay, so it's about 2.5 trillion. But if you see what happened in 2021, here, you see here this line, this yellow line, orange line. So this was between December and May of 2021. Okay, and this is just the relationship between Bitcoin and the altcoins and everything else in crypto. So during this time, Bitcoin went from, I think it was about 18,000 or something, to 70. Okay, during this time, but it still shows you a down move, because it means that all the other coins went up a lot more than Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin dominance went from over 70% to below 40 within 5 months. But still, during that time, Bitcoin was growing. It's just that everything else in crypto was growing more. This is what this chart was telling you. So we could see something similar happen this time. So as these kind of measured moves go, if you take these moves, sometimes they got a tendency of repeating themselves. You see, it happened here in 2018, pretty much, just a little bit, almost exactly. So what if this happened again in 2025? Could we see Bitcoin dominance go down to the 30? Definitely I expected to see back in the 40 to 50% range. At the moment we are 50, almost 59. Okay, definitely I expect it to be in the 40s. It could, if we repeat this kind of measured moves, it could again get down to the low 30s. Last time we hit 39 in 2021, 2018 we hit 35. So there is, it's not unthinkable that we can go back to below 40%. So that means, guys, that would mean the mother of all market seasons. Okay, if it happens, don't know, but sometimes the way we try and predict what is going to happen is price generally got a history, and as you can see, it's got a tendency of repeating itself. Okay.
Luca, can you say that again? The mother of all what? Price corrections.
Alt seasons.
Alt seasons, right. The mother of all alt.
Yeah, so old season means like or the old coin, all coins, So if we basically any other coin in crypto, there's no Bitcoin. Okay, so this is what this chart is showing you. And you can see here on the others, it's actually this is the charts of anything else apart from the top 10 coins. We're still far away from the levels hit in 2021, and even far away from what we hit in during this cycle at the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. Okay, so we're still far away. So from here, if we need to do kind of like a very similar move to what Bitcoin has already done, we are talking about listed three times where we are right now. Okay, and obviously this being the average means that some coins will grow maybe one time or two times, some coins will grow 20 times. But the average might be where where you'll be surprised, because we still, even if the price has corrected a lot, we are still within this uptrend. So the next move I expect it to go beyond 450. At the moment we are 300. So even to do that, even without making a new all-time high, we're already 50%. We will already be 50% up from where we are now. So there's kind of like a good investments to be made over the next period. So we'll see what happens in the next few months, but that's the kind of direction of travel so far. And if we have a quick look at the sorry, where are we? Market. We got the Bitcoin ETFs and the Ethereum ETFs. We can see that this week we got like green numbers again after the red numbers from last week. Dollar terms, we already 4 days into the week, we're already over 2 billion in Bitcoin. Okay, total almost like 60 billion from the start of the ETFs. And for the Ethereum as well, kind of 4 green days after the red days of last week. Obviously smaller numbers for Ethereum, but you're still talking about $1 billion going back into Ethereum ETFs, and which are now sitting at over 14 billion. So roughly what's that? It's about, let's say, 4 times more money in the Bitcoin ETFs than the Ethereum ETFs. But it's still a significant amount of cash that's flown into Ethereum from kind of institutional level investments. All right, and our friend, the realized price charts keep climbing up. So this is the average of all the price of the last time any Bitcoin in circulation was moved. So it includes coins that haven't moved since 2010 to coins that were moved yesterday. And now that average is $54,200. So, and that pretty much, if you take about around a 15% band around that, could pretty much nail the kind of the floor of the bear market. Okay, so if I take maybe 20% out of that, we're talking about 45,000 maybe at the moment as a possible floor on the next bear market. But this number will go up every week. So until Bitcoin actually turns around, this may be, maybe down to the mid 60s or something. In 2025, it's gone up already from 41 to 54. And every day, because every new transaction is at the moment at 119,000, and this is an average. So obviously new transactions being higher than the average will push the average up. Okay, there aren't a lot of news actually to report this week. But the one thing that I wanted to share with you is this one. The kind of London Stock Exchange launched a private blockchain platform to privately exchange real world assets. Okay, and the news is that so this has already been launched, and the first item on it was a reinsurance fund. So that for you, so reinsurance is the insurances they insure the insurance companies. Okay, for those of you that I don't know if you don't know that, but London is the insurance capital of the world. and there's lots of these companies around. And the good thing about it is that what blockchain technology they use to do that. So this is a London Stock Exchange activity, and it was tokenized on the Cardano platform. Okay, so it's showing you that when actually what institutions are looking at when launching the product, they want certain characteristics, and Cardano does offers those characteristics that are not present in many other places in the blockchain world. So it tells you what the institution are starting to get aware of the advantages of the Cardano blockchain and what it can offer, and they're actually starting to use it. I mean, this is not something that's pumped the price of Cardano because hardly anybody actually reported this. Only Cardano. Thank you for Eric actually to send me the link to a Cardano YouTuber that actually was talking about this, which I wasn't aware of. But it shows you not only the real activity in the real world and what people in the know are looking at, also kind of like how much animosity there is in the crypto world. This is the same article from Cointelegraph talking about the same thing. There is no mention of Cardano anywhere. No mention of Cardano. Actually, towards at the end of the article, he's talking about Chainlink. So it's got nothing to do with this. But it shows you how you got to be very careful in what you read and where you read it, because there are some underlying reasons, and there is some animosity for some reason towards certain projects that they are trying to influence what people see. So it's in many places you won't find good news about Cardano because they will refuse to report it. Even and I can't remember if it was like Cointelegraph, but there was one platform that pretty much accused Charles Hoskinson of stealing funds or when Cardano was launched, like millions and hundreds of millions of funds. And when that was proved wrong by audited documents, they refused to publish an apology. So not even kind of like in page 25 of the newspaper, they just refused full stop to publish an apology. So it shows you what how dishonest they can be. And I'm telling you because I want you to, whenever you read information, to start digging deeper, and take some things with a pinch of salt. Okay, I think this is as much as I wanted to look at. For maybe just very quickly, I'm thinking where can we, what's the expectation here? Okay, at the moment, what I'm looking at for you. So just in case you're wondering what these lines are, I'm looking about like weekly swings. Okay, and at the moment, kind of if the point that I'm looking at is this. I want to see, can we close above 120,000? We already had a swing above that, but can we close beyond that point? That will definitely push us all the way to the new to a new high. But in terms of where could we reach, kind of new high, we look at the last move, the last significant move when we made a new Bitcoin high, which was this move here. Again, let me move away these Bitcoin these controls. So I'm looking at this move here, okay? Which is a 25% move in Bitcoin terms, which is the last time when we actually had the significant move that went above. So I'm discarding this because this is really a fake out more than anything. But this is the last measure move they are considered. And if you see, oh, look at that. Look at that. This is what happened also in April. It's funny how these things keep repeating themselves. Okay, so if we apply this to the current move, where does that take us? 132,000. You see why we keep talking about, this move probably is going to take us to, 130 or somewhere around that area. Because there's a price movements are patterns, and this seem to be like this kind of these cycles moves seem to kind of like this particular pattern. And I would expect something like this to happen. So this is kind of like high probability, what I would consider for me a high probability event. Okay, so I'd like a 25 move from the bottom of this channel. Okay, from the 107 to the kind of like lower 130s. And I'm doing this now with you, but what I've told you for months, kind of like my expectation was, in the mid 130s for the next move, since we actually reached this new top, and that really the activity since then has actually confirmed my expectation. So it's still valid. At which point you're thinking, okay, that is not going to happen, you've been proved wrong, is whenever we move lower. Okay, so if we break this point and we move below 108, it means, okay, fine, yeah, we're not hitting that anymore. We actually started another downtrend. But at the moment, the expectations are that this move will carry on beyond the all-time high. Okay, stop sharing now. And first of all, are there any questions about this or anything else about today? Eric, yeah, go ahead.
What is your idea about the move of Cardano?
The move of Cardano, haha. So kind of like, okay, let me go back into the charts. I know that, guys, I want you to stop doing charts, and then you keep dragging me back. Okay, let me see.
Charts are fun to look at, Luca.
Yeah, I know for some people are devilish. Okay. Okay, guys, and this is kind of will be difficult to believe. Okay. So Cardano in 2021 went from pretty much like from 10 cents to $3.10. All right. At the moment, it's sitting about 85 cents. So Bitcoin in this cycle went from 70 to 125, which is an 80% move. So this is my easy expectation. Sorry, I need to make this a little bit bigger because it's not big enough, this chart. So that is the low range of my expectation for Cardano, which is about $5.50 in this cycle.
In what time frame?
Over the next 6 months.
Wow.
My expectation, I might be wrong, I might be completely wrong, okay? And the market might prove me wrong, but this is what I would be expecting at a minimum. So doing the same move that Bitcoin has done during this cycle. Now, it may happen, it may not happen, don't know. But see, time will tell. Already in this cycle, we hit $1.30. Okay, so you expect it to do considerably better than that, but this would be my kind of like expectation for the top of the cycle, at least reach that level. Okay, and you can see also, if we do in terms of what is it? Where's my ADA BTC chart gone? You want to see in terms of Bitcoin. Okay, so this is the chart of Cardano price priced in Bitcoin. So we are at the moment kind of at this cycle we hit the bottom. You can see here. So this would have been a really good place to start buying Cardano at the end of last year at about just about short of 500 satoshis. Okay, which is pretty much like the lowest it has got since 2018 was about 400 satoshis. Okay, so at this point, this is the kind of things that we look at, and we're not that far away from it now. So let me see that I'm doing it properly. So we are within the buying range right now, and this is pretty much like a demand zone for Cardano in Bitcoin terms. So this would be, for me, kind of like a good time to exchange some Bitcoin for Cardano. Okay, with the idea that in 6 months' time, I don't know where this can get to. Okay, but at the moment we're at 700 Satoshi. I would, at the very, very least, expect that to go to the top of this range, which means doubling. So you could get by doing this, playing this game now, you could pretty much double the amount of Bitcoin that you get when you eventually sell back your Cardano and buy Bitcoin back. If we get back to anywhere near the figures that we saw in 2021, then you could get 5 times the amount of Bitcoin for your Cardano. So it's not just about dollars, it's also in the relationship between coins. Okay, and as long as the coins that you're looking at are strong coins, they have a reason to do well in the upcoming cycle, and we all know about Cardano, then this is something that you can attempt. Because what's the worst that can happen? That you have Cardano instead of Bitcoin. You know, not a bad thing anyway, because in any case, even if you were to hold Cardano at least pays you a yield, even if it's not enormous, it's around 3 to 4%, but still 3 to 4% more than Bitcoin. Okay, so hopefully that puts things into perspective, and think some of these expectations might seem outlandish right now, but it may not be in a few months. So, Jonathan, a question then. I know that you said that the scavenger phase has been delayed for the midnight claim. By how long? And have they been published? Have the details been published or not?
So the delay is due to the fact that some of those hardware wallet issues took a month longer to resolve than I think people were expecting. So they've got an extra 16 days for anybody who wants to make their claim of Midnight tokens longer than previously. So we've got until October 20th now to get our claims in. So that last minute rush, all those who've done it will be feeling very extra smug, but you can still join in if you want to. And if you've given up on some wallets that you think is just too much effort, you can now go and put another 16 days of effort into that if you want to. But that just means that the scavenger mine portion of the claim has dropped back 16 days as well. So October 20th, scavenger mining will open up. And there's been no exact details again still. Just the continued promise that it's going to be low compute requirements. You don't need a supercomputer. It's not going to be like Bitcoin mining. And that it looks like it'll be done with some kind of dApp. So you'll connect your wallet to a website application. And over a 24-hour period, you'll be able to claim a certain amount of token winnings from your scavenge. And the scavenge is just going to be running some computer tasks or puzzle solving to earn you the scavenged Cardano. So yeah, not too taxing, very accessible. If you want to get involved, come and have a play. I mean, it's a guesswork as to who's gonna come away with anything or not, but there's a decent allocation of tokens to it, and it's just to get engagement from the community pretty much. So yeah, if you want to scavenge because you haven't had any night tokens in the airdrop, then you can come and get involved. Fantastic.
And this is that, just to remind everybody that you don't need, so where to claim, you need to have had one of these 8 tokens in your wallet on the 11th of June. The scavenge phase is going to be open to anybody. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you never had any crypto before in your life, you can still participate. which is good. So, and as soon as the details are going to be published, Jonathan is going to give you a demonstration of how to do that. Obviously something is going to show in his session as well that generally follows this one. But it's obviously we're going to show everybody because we want people to participate. The more people on Midnight, the better it is. And another thing that actually that was interesting is like there was the announcement, and I just saw this in the last 5 minutes before starting the session, so I didn't have time to investigate it properly. Don't know if Jonathan, if you saw that as well, but the announcement of the collaboration between Cardano and NEAR protocol.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, so it looks like now that Cardano is one of the with the technology of the NEAR protocol. So Cardano now is going to be one of the assets that can be swapped, and there's about 20 different blockchains that can be swapped seamlessly. Where Cardano can be swapped for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for other things, using this NEAR blockchain technology. So it was just announced on Charles' Twitter. So I haven't really investigated, but it's everything that makes blockchains talk to each other. It improves the distance to a Wi-Fi moment, kind of as we had, because now you can use your phone. It doesn't matter which make it is. You can use your phone to connect to Wi-Fi all over the world. But in crypto, you can't do that. So you think, you first of all get into crypto, you get an exchange like Binance, and it's easy. You got dollars, you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy Ethereum, you can buy Cardano, you can exchange one with the other very easily. You get the same tokens in your wallet, and all of a sudden it becomes a nightmare. You got USDT on Binance Smart Chain, but you want to use them, you want to move it to Ethereum. Guess what? That's gonna cost you $20. You wanna, so and it's gonna take, like a process that most people will tear the hair off, in trying to understand what to do. So that's the thing. We still haven't got to the ease of moving between different blockchains without using either exchange or without using bridges, which are probably the weakest part of the crypto tech stack, where things are a real risk of getting lost or getting hacked. So yeah, the sooner that happens, the better it is. It doesn't really matter who provides that solution. Obviously, if it comes from Cardano, it's better, because we're all involved in Cardano. But whoever comes with a solution that's usable by everybody, it would improve the whole sector, because it means that it make it a lot easier for new users to come into the blockchain world, and that's what we want, because it kind of, guys, the high tide floats all boats. So I don't care if you're a maxi, Ethereum maxi, if you're a Bitcoin maxi, Cardano maxi, having an extra 500 million people coming into the blockchain world will help everyone. So it's sometimes I see as small-minded and with all this infighting there is between different communities in crypto, which almost like defeats the object for everybody, because people from the outside looking at these people about mouthing each other left and center, maybe it's not the right thing. It's what am I getting involved in? I keep my money where it is. I'm not giving it to a bunch of kids. They're fighting with each other. Okay, and that's unfortunately, although we can't see it because we're all like involved in this, in these fights between Ethereum and Cardano, between Solana and everybody else, and so on. It doesn't look very good on the outside, especially to institutional investors, So the sooner we get beyond all that and start behaving like responsible adults, the better it is for everyone. Okay, guys, we still got a few minutes to go. So any questions? Welcome, Samantha. A little bit late.
I know. I thought I'd just jump on and see what was happening in the last 10 minutes. Just got home.
Do you have any burning questions? Because we got to kind of at the moment where this is now question and answer session. So if you have anything that you wanted to ask, think about it and just ask in the next 5 minutes because we're almost about to close the session. Okay, anybody wants to ask?
Quick question.
Go ahead, David.
If I flew all the way from Australia and we happened to bump into each other at the local and I shouted you a couple of pints and I said to you, look, I don't have any coins at the moment, but I do trade. And what would be, I noticed you just scratched your nose then. What would be the ETF to look at in the coin world, given what's going on right now? Could you give us one or two tips that you would say, look, just have a look at this, and if you're interested in dipping your toe in the water, it could be a good option.
Well, in the ETFs, that's a simple answer. There's only two of them. So it's only Ethereum or Bitcoin at the moment. So if you want to do it from the ETF world, which is the easier option, I suppose, for a lot of people that are not in crypto already, because you just need to have a brokerage account that you can use to buy shares, and you can then dip your toe into crypto. You can use the ETFs as well to trade. So you don't need to have a Binance account if you want to trade Bitcoin. You could trade a Bitcoin ETF. And also the other advantage as well that both Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs are optionable. So you can also buy and sell options on them, which is another financial instrument that can be appropriate for many different strategies. So yeah, definitely, the ETFs are a great way of getting kind of first exposure to crypto for somebody that has never had any exposure, because it's the least amount of technology hurdles, to overcome to invest in that. Then once you're familiar with maybe Bitcoin or familiar, then you want to look at what else is available, and then to get the else availability to the else, you need to do something else. So you need to open an exchange or have a wallet, and then all the fun with the bank starts, and etc. So that's a different. But as a first point of, this is what the ETFs have been great for. They've been a first point of access to crypto for institutions, and B for because it provides the basic rules that institution needs to abide by to buy anything, and B for individual investors that are never dipped their toes into cryptocurrencies before. And if they have a Robinhood account, they can buy crypto ETFs all of a sudden.
And that would be, is that like a Fidelity ETF? Is that, if we go onto the very
the two bigger ones are Fidelity and BlackRock. For both. And then so they're Fidelity, BlackRock, and Grayscale. Those are the three big ETF providers for both of them. Then there's many others. There are ARK Invest, but they are, in terms of size, about like 1/10 of the size of the BlackRock is by far the largest for both Ethereum and Bitcoin. Okay. Anybody else? Maybe one question, maybe two. Or if anybody has anything to share. The next moonshot, maybe, or the next meme coin that is going to go. I don't know if somebody's launched like take my dog for a walk meme coin or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. There's all sorts. But yeah, no, this I would say, guys, I mean, just jokes apart, if you haven't been involved in crypto before, you can still do very well because we're still at an early stage. But I would say stick to the big projects. You don't need to go and look for the fantastic next thing that nobody has heard of, because there's a reason why people haven't heard of it. Probably. And you don't have, probably, I'm not being rude, but probably you don't have the capability at this stage to actually do a complete evaluation of a new crypto project. It's very difficult to do, even for somebody that's experienced. But for kind of like somebody that's new to crypto, you got no chance. So stick to the tried and tested projects that have been around at least for 2 cycles. So they were around already in 2020, 2021. And as we've seen, many of them have still got huge potential of growth during this cycle. So no need to go and look for any new projects that are coming out right now. Stick to the ones that are tried and tested. They got a community around them, and they got especially a community of developers that are working on it on a regular basis. Okay, as Jonathan will tell you, kind of developers are especially crypto developers are hard to find. So they are very, very valued. Put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. Decent ones.
Yeah, decent ones. So are the crypto ETFs accessible outside of the US, right? Yes, of course they are. So you just need to have a brokerage account, like anything that lets you buy stocks and shares in the US will let you buy ETFs. So, but even from the UK, for example, the providers of ISAs or pensions accounts, like AJ Bell or Hargreaves Lansdown or things like Trading 212. They're all places that got options for ISAs and SIPs that you can buy these products from, or simply an investment account without any protection. I'm mentioning ISA and SIPs because in these you can accumulate profits tax-free. So they're a better option, so you don't have to pay any tax on those. But then definitely, yeah, there is you can buy ETFs from any share trading account, as long as you say the only thing you need to find out when you're opening a trading account or a brokerage account is that what markets do they give you access to. So as long as they give you access to the American markets, New York Stock Exchange and Nasdaq, you can buy all the products that are pretty much listed in the US, at least the main ones. Okay, guys, I need to go now as I've got coaching call starting straight away. I recommend you all to go and follow Jonathan Cardano session that gonna start very shortly. So Jonathan, you just drop the link just to remind anybody that hasn't been on your sessions already. And so I'll leave it there for literally for 10 seconds, and then I'll need to rush off. So I wish you all a good weekend. Watch the price of Bitcoin. I expect it, so we could see a new all-time high even today around the opening on the US market. So between 1 and 2, we might see some fireworks. We know, depending on what's happening to the US administration. So we'll see. But if we get a release of the numbers, then we might see a big spike. All right, guys. I wish you all a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you all next week. Okay, remember for you guys.
Right,